Got to do it real quick because I'm driving. But hey, it's me, Eric. To my gamer friends, it's Devin Donder, and to those that are running out of their quarantine snacks, it's me, Gumball Head. How's everybody doing today? Hope everybody's doing all right. I'm on a grocery store run. I gotta go get some gel or foaming drain cleaner for the bathroom because my sink is slow draining. There's some uniqueness to my sink that I better make sure that, all right, but my sink in the bathroom slow drains, so I'm struggling a little bit with that. See if I can get it to drain any better. So tonight I was wanting to talk about fear. Fear is not good. And when we think about fear, it's more than what are you afraid of. It's more like what are you afraid of and what's attached to that fear. What accompanies that fear. So when we hear of fear, we think about things that scare us, things that are frightful. Like I'm afraid of haunted houses, but I'll still... That's what most people associate with fear. But when we actually talk about real fear, things are a little different. My example, I'm going to express this from me personally, is fear. And the accompaniment of fear is I am afraid of the dark. But if it's dark outside, I'll still go outside. If it's dark in my home, I'll still walk around the house. But my hands are on the wheel, by the way. Oh, you saw my prayer hands. I was coming up to a stop sign. Anyway, don't sidetrack me. But it's not the fact that it's dark that I'm afraid of. It's the fact that there are things that happen in the dark that make me scared. And not scared, I'm just on higher alert. I've got my internal processes working. My hearing is better, which anybody that knows me like 100% knows that my hearing sucks. But when my internal instincts kick in, my hearing is heightened. Now, it might not be as heightened as one of you, but it's still there, that fight or flight. There's a technical term for it. And right now, I can't think about what that term is, and that's why I'm describing it. But anyways, there's reality to that, and that's true. My fear of the dark is not the fear of darkness, it is the fear of what can happen in the dark. Another fear that I have is fire, and when you fear fire, you're not afraid of the fire itself, you're afraid of the accompaniment of the fire, which means I am afraid of fire, but I'm not afraid of fire itself. I'm afraid of what the fire can do to me. The fire can burn me. The fire can cause my skin to blister. The fire can burn the hair off of my arms. And the fire can make me uncomfortable. But we use fire, all of us use fire on a regular basis. If you're a cigarette smoker, you usually use fire to light your cigarette. Because cars don't even have those electric cigarette lighters anymore because they don't. That's the first thing, but fire is an important tool, and we use it on a regular basis. If you're melting down metal, you have to use fire. If you're lighting a boiler, you have to use fire. If you're sitting by a campfire, you have to use fire. But the fear of the fire keeps you intelligent enough to not touch the fucking flames that are flickering from that fire pit or the red coals that are in the bottom of it. So that fear is a motivator. That fear is a teaching tool. But if nobody has ever touched a hot coal, you don't know how bad it's going to hurt, right? If nobody has had something happen to them in the dark, then they might not be afraid of the dark. Okay? Let's go into my next quote-unquote fear. My next fear is heights. I've never fallen from a super high building, but I don't like the way my internal systems work when I get to a extreme height. I'm very uncomfortable with it. My equilibrium is off, this and that and the other thing. And then my final fear is spiders. Now, spiders is an odd one because it's not all spiders. It's not, if I see a spider on the wall, I'm like, hey, look, it's a spider. No, I do not kill them. For those of you who know me, I do my best to not kill spiders. I just leave them alone, okay? I don't kill mice. I don't kill snakes. I don't kill any of that stuff. I do deer hunt, but with my history of deer hunting, it's very rare that I actually even kill an animal. So I've killed more squirrels in my life than I've even seen deer. But back then, it was a time with my dad. It was one of those things. And then you eat the shit, you eat the squirrels, and then you're happy and fat and life is good. But regardless, here's the deal. We all have fears, and it's not necessarily the initial fear, it's the attention or the effect that's attached to it. So the reason why I wanted to talk about this today is because, number one, I wanted to address some of my fears to kind of make things a little bit more personal. And the second thing is to kind of bring into all of our mindsets some of the misconceptions that we have about the fear and some of the things that we think about that we feel like we're afraid of, but we're not. And not only that, but here's the way it breaks down. If we can understand fear, then we can understand addiction. If we can understand fear, we can understand attachment. If we understand fear, we can understand a majority of anything that's out there. Now, how does fear tie into addiction? Well, let me try to explain this, and we'll see if I'm successful. First things first, I'm going to go with a drink, alcoholism, because I'm an alcoholic in recovery. But I am going to have a drink, one drink. And with that drink, I am afraid of people finding out that I'm drinking. Okay? The fear that is based with that is my accountabilities and this and that and the other thing. Okay? But if I have a drink and I'm at home, I'm a little uncomfortable, but I'm not going to go anywhere because I'm afraid of going out into public and I'm afraid of people smelling my breath. Now, if I have 2 drinks, my fear starts to subside and my thought process starts to subside as well. 3 drinks and I start getting loopy. Okay? I'm not afraid anymore. I've had 3 drinks, I'm good to go. Whatever. Okay? With fear, you can be afraid of something, let's say fire, and you can watch fire and you can feel the temperature of fire, and once you feel that temperature of the fire, you're like, oh, okay, well, that's probably going to hurt me if I touch that fire, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is tied in with the second drink. It's quite the opposite, but it's the same. I have touched fire now, and I know that fire hurts, okay? So that second drink is, my mind process is starting to change, okay? So when you have fear, your initial drink is that I know better, okay? That second drink was probably not a good idea, right? Well, neither was touching fire. And that third drink, terrible idea, is touching the coals in the bottom of the fire pit. Okay, so now we understand how fear of fire can be equated to addiction. Okay, we know it's wrong. We know the idea is there. But until we get to that point in our lives, we are unable to comprehend the issues that are attached to that. I'm looking for a parking spot so I can stop driving. But we get to that point where we realize it, only by making those mistakes. Now, in our lives, mistakes can only happen if we blow off the warning signs, okay? Now, fear overall is, I'm afraid of getting arrested. I'm afraid of going to jail. I'm afraid of everybody finding out that I am a true alcoholic. But I talk about it all the time. I'm just going to park. But I talk about it all the time, okay? But the fear is what keeps me away from falling back into those old trends and falling back into those old processes that I used to find to be a normal every single day thing, okay? Fear keeps us away from things because we're afraid of the outcome, right? Right? I'm afraid of going to jail, so my fears are warranted. I'm afraid of damaging relationships. I'm afraid of backsliding into a regular daily habit or habitual drinking. I'm afraid of losing my job. I'm afraid of getting fatter. You know, I'm afraid of all these things that tie into drinking on a regular basis. Okay? Now, I have talked about moderated drinking in the past. I've talked about moderation management. I've talked about abstinence. I've talked about this and that and the other thing. It's whatever works for you. But no, it's not a COVID cough. But those things in our lives, you know, I think the biggest fear that I have when we're equating things to alcohol is starting over again. You know, I've started over so many times since I was 16, 17 years old. Relationships, jobs, housing situations, conversations, professions, school. There's a lot of things that I've done in my life that have been as a result of me fucking up and screwing up. And I think that's one of the reasons why Gumball Head is so important to me, is because when we look at the things in our lives that we've had that were not in our favor, we fear the repercussions. Gosh, I'm on a train of thought, but I'm kind of glanced away from it, and I apologize. But so that's the fear. What is your fear? What are you afraid of in your life? What are you afraid of? Are you afraid of being successful? Because most people are not afraid of being successful. Most people are afraid of failure. But is that a fear? Or is that a realistic possibility? Because I have that a lot too. Okay, and I'm not trying to get super hypothetical or super psychological in this, but the truth behind it is I have two options in my life. And now, here's what's stemming this. Here's where this is coming from. I had a situation recently where I felt that I was going to get into like some deep trouble. And that deep trouble actually turned out to be okay. It was quite the opposite. Growing old, alone, and relapsing. Yep. True story. Growing old and relapsing is possibilities for all of us. Are you afraid of that actually being one of those things, or are you afraid of being successful and not doing that? I mean, that's where I'm going with this is we have the opportunity in our lives to make those changes in our lives, and we try. And guys, I'm sorry. The reality is it's allergy season, it's COVID, this and that and the other thing. I'm afraid, I'm fucking terrified of this COVID shit. I don't want to go anywhere if I don't have to, you know, but who knows? Maybe I'll just drive away from here and not even get drain cleaner. It's not that big a deal. It's just you spit in the sink and it doesn't go down. And it's just kind of like, ooh, yeah, it's gross. I don't know, but that's a realistic fear. It is. But is it a fear? Are you afraid of that? Because here's the thing. Fear can be controlled, all right? Now, it sounds a little crazy, but I'm afraid of the dark. So I'm going to put myself in situations where I'm not actually posted up in the dark, where I don't spend a lot of time in the dark. There's two options that I have. I can either go into the dark in the unknown, or I go into the dark and turn the fucking flashlight on my phone. So I'm going to change that fear. I'm going to accommodate my particular instance to a positive situation. So I'm afraid of the dark, but I've always got a flashlight. There's one on the door of my truck. There's one on my key ring. There's one on my phone. There's one in the garage. There's one in the basement. There's one in my junk drawer. There's always a flashlight available. Is it because I'm afraid of the dark? Yep. But what happens if you lose power at 2 o'clock in the morning? I'm not going to immediately go to the fact that I'm afraid of the dark. I'm going to go to that flashlight and I'm going to find out what the problem is. Okay, and I'm going to check all my appliances, make sure that they're off completely. And then I'm going to check outside and see if everybody else in the neighborhood's power is off. And it's a really good identifier when you look at the front door light. Okay, spiders, the same thing. I see a spider on the wall, I leave it alone. If I don't fuck with it, it's not going to bite me in the middle of the night. You know, and I don't like jump up on tables and stuff when I see a spider or a mouse or a snake or anything like that. But I'll tell you, I do get super high anxiety, or I did get super high anxiety when I walked into a burning building. I got anxiety, but I guarantee you that put me into a situation where I was safer. I was more in tune to what was going on. I was more in the fight or flight, mindset. The problem is firefighters wear those tanks on their back, and in those tanks, there is air in there. It's compressed air. And when you start getting yourself in a situation like training situations, I could go 45 minutes on a 60-minute bottle. You know, I could go 15 minutes on a 30-minute bottle. Okay? But you walk into a building that's on fire and you've got a 30-minute bottle on, I'm going to burn through that in 11 minutes because I'm freaking out, right? So it's been a while since I've done true story. Don't set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. Yep. So, but that is it. That's it. That fear, that motivational fear that allows you to pay more attention, pay better attention to what's going on in your life right then and there. Okay? And the reason why I tied this to addiction is right now everybody's quarantined, everybody's locked up in their homes. Visitors are not advised. People are still breaking those rules, but visitors are not advised, and some people don't care about that, and some people do. But those that are super afraid, they're not here at Lowe's right now. They're at home. They're not over at Meijer. And for those that don't live in the Midwest, Meijer is a grocery store like Felposh or I don't know what else. I don't even know. Like down in South Bend, everywhere is Martin's, and you know, it just depends on where you're at. Piggly Wiggly, Aldi, whatever, Spartan stores. That's our grocery store. But what I'm saying is those people that are afraid, they're not going to Walmart to buy frickin' TVs with their stimulus check. They're paying their bills and they're ordering their groceries online. You know, they're not doing dumb shit because they're terrified of this disease that's happening right now. I'm terrified of the disease. So I'm very limited as to where I go. And, you know, I mean, I go to work every day because I have to, but my justification on that is I don't deal with anybody. Yes, that's hand sanitizer that I'm putting on my hands because I was just thinking about it. But I go to work every day because I have to, and my interactions with people are so limited because of what I do that people are not going to interact with me very much unless it's a truck driver or, you know, whatever. So, but I'm not putting myself in unnecessary situations by going and doing stuff. So, and I just kind of double standard that because here I am at Lowe's just to get drain cleaner. And I did see your comment, Sarah, so thank you. And Mandy, you're at home. Most of the people that are watching right now are at home, you know, and that's another reason why it's important for me to do these broadcasts, is so people have something to do, something to change their mindset and to kind of ponder. So fear is a motivator, fear is a distractor, fear is a life-changing opportunity. The hardest thing is understanding whether or not you're afraid or you're full of fear. Okay, if you're afraid, if you're intimidated by something but you're going to do it anyways, that is not fear. If you avoid it at all costs because you don't want to deal with the outcome of it, that's fear. Okay, And that can go with mindset. That can go with, look at people that have OCD. If somebody touches a doorknob or a light switch 6 times and they don't, I pull, this is really bad of me, I pull 5 paper towels every time I wash my hands. Why it's 5, I don't know. Okay? But you got to understand, paper towels are small. They're more like napkins, I guess. But 5 of them, boom, 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 boom. And the first 2 get wadded up in my hands. The third one, I always wipe my nose. The last 2, I use to grab the doorknob and leave whatever it is. In my pockets, there's always a burn up paper towel. And it's just one of those things, But people that are OCD, they're fearful of the outcome of life day to day changing because they didn't do something that they're used to doing, or something that they do in repetition. That repetition is a calm. It's like meditation. When you have high anxiety, I can't speak for this 100% truthful from me, but somebody with substantial anxiety may get a benefit out of meditation. That person may not get a benefit out of meditation either. So it just depends. But people that have high anxiety, it starts to increase, and then comes the fear, then comes the concern, then comes the worry, then comes all the things that are attached to whatever that situation is where the anxiety is coming through. So, guys, I'm glad you watched tonight. I was a little late coming in. I was going to wait till I got to my destination to broadcast, but I'm glad I didn't. So, I love you guys. I'm so thankful that you're here. If you got questions, comments, concerns, go ahead and either put them here in the comments, or if you want to discuss further, send me a message on Facebook Messenger. And if you are a gamer out there and you do want to add me, I always say it at the beginning of every broadcast, my gamer, to my gamer friends, it's Devin Donder, PlayStation 4 Devin Donder. So, you guys, I'm very proud of all of you. Keep doing the good things. Keep working hard at what you're doing. Reach out if you need to. Do what you got to do. We're gonna get through this. The 30th is fast approaching. And who knows, May 15th, maybe they'll bump us out there. Maybe it won't be till June, but whatever it is, don't be afraid of what's coming, guys. If they say we can go back to work, then we can go back to work. If you don't feel comfortable going back to work, see if you can stay working at home. If you're not working right now, maybe you have to go back to work. But once we all get to go back to work, there's a lot of opportunity out there. You think about a lot of the people right now, that companies are restructuring. We were just talking about this at work the other day. There's a company called, I'm not going to say their name, but they furloughed all their employees, and then once they furloughed all of them, once their employees obtained their aid, their unemployment, once the company was aware that they got their unemployment, they terminated their employment. Now, is that wrong? I don't support that, but I don't understand corporate structures or anything like that. As a large company, more than 1,000 employees. But once they obtained their unemployment, they terminated the employees. Well, now those employees are guaranteed 26 weeks of unemployment. So they did the right thing. And not only that, but here's what I feel. That company is actually going to come back to these employees and be like, hey, we're restructuring, and I know what's going to happen. They're going to take the X dollar an hour employees that they terminated, allow them to live out their unemployment, and then offer them a lower rate of pay to come back. Be prepared for that, folks. I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm not trying to put the fear in anybody. But the truth behind it is there are companies out there doing that right now. They're still taking care of their employees because they're allowing them to do that duration of unemployment. But if they want to come back to work for that company and they have to accept a lower rate of pay, we all get used to what we're making per hour, and we build our lifestyle around that. I am afraid of losing my job. I am afraid of getting laid off. That's a fear of mine. However, I've always made it through. And you guys will too. I promise. It doesn't matter what's going on in your life. Tomorrow's another day. As long as you still wake up on the green side of the dirt, then life is going to be okay. All right? Stay strong. Stay focused. Stay sober, guys. I love you. I'll see you next Sunday. I'm probably going to poke in midweek. I have a big, not an announcement, but I've got some information, some news to bump out to everybody. So probably midweek I'll be on for another quick 15-minute, not even 15 minutes. Probably be more like 3-minute video. But I love you guys, and we'll see you soon.